Hey everybody, so it's Marty the JavaScript Party, no ret. Just finished my 3JS video, that's what I'm still on there, and now I'm getting ready to shift gears and go over to the flashcard. And I remember that because yesterday I was working on Say Hello, and so those are my two voice recognition projects that I'm working on. So I just killed this one. I'm going to open recent, and when I see that Say Hello comes before flashcard, I know that okay, yeah, yesterday the last thing I worked on was Say Hello, not flashcard. So it's Sunday. I work on flashcard, and believe my last project, the last time I worked on this stuff, I had installed Angular material. And so now I'm trying to go back to the voice structure, and we need a service that can turn continuous voice off and off. So there's a million different directions I can go, right? And you're right at the beginning. It used to be that like when you first started coding, there was like a very I forget that this has its own Angular application. Um, that when I first started coding, there was always a starting point. Like you always started that, oh, okay, you're going to create a main function or you're going to create. But now it's once you really start coding, there's like a bunch of things that need to be done, and sort of like it doesn't really matter which one you do first, and you kind of have to do them all yourself in the same branch, which is like weird. It'd be nice if you could separate it out, but it seems like kind of yesterday I did, or last Sunday, I decided that what I want to start with is creating a service that can turn continuous voice on and off. And so this is our voice recognition service that we want to create. Um, and I don't know exactly like how I know exactly where to get started, but it's just like, you know, just comes with experience. Um, okay, so you can see that I added ng material 6 days ago, so now we want to create a service. So we got, so I think we want to create like a services folder. So we're going to do it that way. So we're going to say, if we look in source right now, we have app, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say VR, voice recognition service. And then that's going to be, if I remember correctly, NGGS for service, and then services, which doesn't exist yet, and then voice recognition. And I think that I have to tell it. Do I have to tell it dot service, or will it do it? I think I have to say dot service because I want it to add the word service. Sometimes it adds it for you, and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't think service is the one. So let's see what happens. So what I want is, I don't know. We'll see if this works. So what I want is to see a new folder called services, and inside of it there to be a voice recognition service. I can't remember if I want to put a dash there or not. I don't know. CD, and then this is flashcard builder, and then npm run VR service. So this is going to create our voice recognition service, and let's see what happens. It's probably not what I want exactly, but we'll see. Yeah, no, this is exactly what I want. Okay, so it did build it out the way I want it, and it did make it for root. So now, um, basically what this is going to do is this is going to say, hey, start a voice recognition service. But I can't remember exactly how you start a voice recognition service, but we do have a reference of the old GitHub. Like in my other thing, which I don't have because I finished But in my other repository for say hello, not for say hello, but for Angular web speech, I do have some code. I got the code. And app, and then services. And that was not right. I'll say that I also have, if I remember correctly, there's another, yeah, speech service. This is what we want. Something like this. So it looks like we had created our own voice interfaces. Um, so it looks like we kind of did this. So we're going to have a recognition any. I think we want this. And I don't think that the actual type has been established yet. It is like in flux. That's why it has to be an any. Um, okay, I think we want this. I don't think we want this. I think we're going to go with all defaults on that. So it looks like we need a constructor. And then we want to do something like this. So let's just do that. Let's create our constructor. Constructor. And basically, let's just take a break here. Let's go in here and just say console log voice recognition service. All right. And so basically we have our voice recognition service. Oops. And come in here and we'll look and we'll hit F12 and we'll look at the console log and it does not exist yet. And it doesn't exist because we aren't importing it into our app. So let's go ahead and import it into our app. In order to import it into our app, we want to use this thing called this function that lives in that is defined in the Angular core. It's called inject. Inject is a really cool function that will actually take a service and put it into the injector, or I don't know, injection tree, something like that. I can't really remember exactly what the right words are. But basically we're going to say um, voice recognition service. That's the name of this thing. And we are going to, and that's a colon, voice recognition service, and that equals inject. And voice recognition service. And then I do want to, I'll use this blue thing to import it. And then I'll make this a little V. And then we'll come in here and we'll look at this thing. And we see that the voice recognition service now exists. It is in our and was executed. The constructor was in fact executed for us. So now that it is executed for us, let's go back to here and let's add something like this. Boom. Now I don't know why it doesn't know that speech recognition service. I don't know if that's, I don't know what I have to do to make this thing. So I'm guessing that this speech recognition is really interesting. I've never seen that. speech recognition is probably defined in somewhere. Bar speech recognition, any. Oh, where is this? That's cool. That is really, really cool. So where are we? We are in our app. Are we in the app? No, we're in the service itself. We're in the X. So we want to do this. Apparently we want to declare these two up top. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So basically, I think in all of our code, it's always been this one, not this one, which is kind of a bummer, because that means that when it does eventually become this one, it'll probably break everything. And if you go to the voice builder, which I do use every single day at work, if you go to this page here, I do this because it's a great way to turn on, to make sure to test your microphone, make sure it's working and stuff. But if you come in here, you'll see that this is telling me that this one is the one that worked, not this one up here, which is a bummer. But anyways, okay. So now we're going to just do this console log, this recognition. Just make sure that there is something called a recognition. This dot recognition. And then let's come back over here, Ben here, and here's our recognition object. And so basically, we see that by default continuous is false, but we would rather it be continuous equals true. So I think, no, it is continuous. No, this one's continuous true. This is our flashcard builder. Our say hello is going to be continuous false. But this basically is like, it just stays and listens and listens and listens. So here, I'll show you exactly what it does. So in this, see, we have discrete and we have continuous. So this is what we're imitating. So we're going to say, hello, how are you? What is your name? See, it basically just continues. If we have discrete, if it's false, then we end up with, it will record one thing and turn the microphone off. So this recognition, I think by default is false. So we want it to be true. So this is different. This is not like a configurable thing. This dot recognition dot continuous is equal to true. So now let's just see if that works the way we want. Yep, continuous is true. We are not going to have a grammars list, at least not at this point. It is interesting though, because now we have two. So obviously I misspelled something. It's UOUS. And let's try it again. All right. So continuous is true now. Let's look at the other things. And I think that's it for now anyways. Let's look at this code here. Audio start signal. So these are signals that are like angular signals that return when the audio is started, when the audio is ended. And that's probably how we'll know if the object has been, if the object is, if the microphone has started or ended. So I think I don't want to use a signal for that. I think signals maybe like add unneeded complexity. I I do think the recognition should probably be private though. And if you watch my other video, you know that like this is something that I used to not care about at all, but one of my coworkers does a really good job of setting in these services, setting private things private. I found it to be extremely helpful while you're coding. So now this I do not. Do I want it? I think I don't want it to be private. I think this application is gonna be simple enough to where basically I want to have like a toggle button that says whether it's on or off, and and I want to just do it so recognition on is equal to false. So by default it's false, so it will only be on if we turn it on. So we need like a function that turns recognition on. So how do we do that? Constructor, we're going to have to do this, set up like events to listen for. Process continuous, process discrete, set property map, get all properties, update listings, clear log listing, get speech recognition list, discrete, record. So it looks like this is what I want. Okay, so continue and stop continue record. So it looks kind of like I just want these two functions. Let's see what happens. And then, yeah, I don't want anything other than this, I think. Start, and then okay. So this starts and stop, and I was thinking that I actually would want to turn this on and off based on this button, but this is actually not true, right? This is the intent that we asked to turn it on. They could have said no. I think we want to basically make an event that runs on audio start. Okay, so basically right here is where we set up our start. I think this is the one we care about. And we're basically going to give it a function, and basically whenever it starts, we're just going to, for now, there's going to be other stuff that we do, but for now, all we're going to do is turn this dot recognition on equals true. And then on audio stop, we're going to set it to false. It's very, very basic. This is going to grow. It shouldn't grow too much though. So it looks like on audio. So we have on audio start, on sound start, on speech start. Let's close this. On speech end, on audio end. I think this is the one, on audio end. And then this becomes false. And basically all we want to do is expose this continue record and stop continue record to our app, but we're going to want to do that in a component. Now this one was just, okay, implement voice structure. So seems like a lot for a single commit, but and mostly because it's probably going to be much harder to figure out what to do next. But so I think what I'm going to do, I just kind of want to set myself up for success next Sunday. So basically, I'm just going to create a new component. So basically, this is going to be our toggle recognition component. tr component. And this is going to go into, this is going to be an ngGC components. I don't even think I have a components. Yeah, components, and then toggle. Is toggle 1 or 2 letters? Toggle recognition. And I think component, it will automatically add the component word to it. So that's what I want to do next week. And basically what I'm thinking is if we go to Angular Material website, what I'm thinking is if we go to the components, is I want something along the lines of, I think they even call it a toggle. Where are you? This. Yeah, slide toggle. And basically, like that will be on, and then that will be for the user to toggle it on and off, and then the and then there'll, I guess, be like a different little thing that tells you if it's actually on or off. Like the whole thing may turn green or something, or and say on. Um, so, but because it does take a second, and you have to hit OK sometimes. It just depends on what you did before. But I think that this is our next task, is to do our toggle recognition component, and then we'll bring it in, and then we'll create our mat slide toggle, and then our mat slide toggle will then call this function that's in there, and we'll go from there. And so we're making decent progress. Next week, like I said, next week we'll be turning the recognition on and off. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.